So the first step to correct your status would be, I would create something called a non-taxpayer affidavit, or even something called political status correction. Correct your name for the record. When your name was created on a birth certificate, they think they own this, so you have to learn how to create it in a private trust. The Social Security number is a trust. If you look it up, Social Security Trust Administration. It's a public administration. You have to learn how to create your private administration. So you can start with a church, or even a tribe. You can correct your status with a tribe, a church. It's called the Shahada with Muslims. I'm not sure what it's called with Jewish people, but they all undergo a status change. In the Christian community, it's called being baptized. So your baptismal certificate can be also correct your status, and you can use this to identify in the public. Everybody go to onlyfans.com/Don Kilam. That's onlyfans.com/Don Kilam. That's DonKilam. You can subscribe there and get access to Don Kilam University at donkilam.com. You can also follow me on the Instagram at DON_KILAM. Again, that's DON_KILAM. Much peace and love. Peace and love. It's your boy Don Kilam. I'm in the building in Orlando, Florida. Dream Keepers Radio, the Dream Keepers podcast, and I'm here with Chief Amir Zahir. What's happening, Chief?
What's going on? What's going on?
Hey, man, peace and love. We back at it, man. 2 days in a row. Let's
2 days, man. Let's get it. Let's get it.
I really enjoyed, after the podcast yesterday, we just chopped it up with Cam, man.
Yeah, definitely. Cam and his father, man, his brothers, man, they definitely dope people. You know what I mean? I loved it.
You and I don't know if you heard me messing with you. I was like, what y'all talking about? Because y'all was in y'all's own little conversation, man.
Yeah.
And then, but I'm glad you showed us. It was you building on the land and stuff. So it was just tight. They was really inspired by you. They hit me up this morning. They made it home, man.
That's dope. So
shout out to Cam, Miami, man. Shout out to his tribe, man. They're really inspirational. I like that, man. Mm-hmm. They're focused on something. They're doing great things.
Yep.
But outside of that, man, I want to have a deep discussion with our people today, because a lot of them are still confused, and I'm trying to do my best to break it down in simplest terms. And I mean, we do talk to a lot of people. We have a lot of business partners, but I don't see anybody best to fit for the job other than you, Chief, when it comes to this. And I was able to share some things of how I came into the realization of the things that you were talking about, so you could have better clarity why I understood you. Right. So I want to go into that today, starting with baptismal certificates, the birth certificate. I want to go back and talk about it again, man. Yeah. For the sake of as a tool for freedom. Like, I know we talked about a little bit about it yesterday. You said if you want to, you would have it authenticated if you was overseas. All right. But what about here? What does it prove to have an authenticated birth certificate in your understanding and belief?
The actual birth certificate you get from the hospital?
Yeah, the one you get from the state.
Nah, I'll stay away from it.
All right. So you wouldn't give it for your kids?
No.
All right. So what's an alternative?
The alternative is you have baby land deeds. That's an alternative. You also have the baptismal certificates, and you also have your Bible, your family Bible. Okay. And so the baptismal certificates, let's look at that for a second. In the scriptures, for all those who read the Bible, it says Yeshua looked at Nicodemus. He said, "A man must be born again." And so when you're looking at baptism, it's like that. You're being born again, so you have to die. Understand that the wages of sin is death. So when we come into this life and you accept that baptism or you accept a birth certificates, you're dead. So you have to die and be raised again.
Now, with you, bro, you just gave me a realization when you said for the wages of sin are death. So that makes sense to me. If you're utilizing their documents and you're coming into the debtor standpoint, that's why they're viewing you as a dead entity, dead corporation.
And that's why their judges wear the black. Because they represent the dead. They represent the corporation.
Do you know what them robes are called?
No.
They're called mourning robes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah, so they're mourning the dead. And they bring you back to life when you come in the courtroom. They say, all rise. You can only do that to the dead,
Yes.
So that's how they know they got power over you. And that's how they create the sweat equity game, man.
It's all rituals.
Yeah, that's it, man.
Definitely.
But that's powerful. For the wages of sin are death.
Yeah, the wages of sin is death. And so when you're born and you have, through the parents, and a lot of times our mothers and stuff didn't know. But, you come in and you accept their documents, you died.
Right.
You know, and so that's on their record that you died. So you have to be born again, and you have to rise up in the likeness of how the Mashiach or the Christ rised. And so and once again, I know a lot of people are offended at church and offended at these things, but you got to remove that and you got to look at it. There's a political game here.
Right.
And so it goes all the way back into the Tanakh when you look at the image of Nebuchadnezzar. Okay. The image of Nebuchadnezzar, he had this image and it really frightened him. But, it was dealing with the head of gold, you know, or bronze, whatever, how you want to call it, and that head of gold. And then you had the shoulders or the breastplate of silver. Okay. And then you had the legs, you know, the legs. And so what these dealing with empires that were ruling, you know, you had Babylon, which was the top, and then you had the Mede, the Persians who took over them. And then you had, the Greeks, that conquered them, and then you had Rome. Okay, so Rome is right now the last empire that's ruling, and so Rome has two legs, which is the eastern leg and the western leg.
So so I've heard that before. Like I showed you through some of my private education. The only part I understood was the Roman Empire. Yeah. you know, but you got to go back to learn the rest, and I understand it. But with that being stated, also, so when you're utilizing these documents, they're under Roman rule. So you got to understand where you're at and whether it's their family Bible, because a Bible is a fact in the courtroom declared by Congress. But that could also include your family Bible.
Right.
And through the education, our private education that we was listening to today, they stated that they were able to use a family Bible to get things thrown out of court.
Yes.
So you agree with that?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I do, because once again, your records, you don't have to get certain things recorded. Your records, once you get those things authenticated, as we said in many, many podcasts, when you start to authenticate your records, your documents, that means that no one can come against those. You prove the legitimacy of those documents.
Wow.
And so once my child or once our offspring or whatever gets into the land, right, through the matrix, okay, this is what the scripture says. All firstborn belongs to him that enter into the matrix, you know. And so once they come into the land, now you get it recorded through your government, your family government, your tribe. You see what I'm saying? That's opposite of theirs.
And that, so church versus state. Let's speak on that, because you said, like this is what you stated to me. And just correct me on anything I say wrong verbatim. But like, even though we don't necessarily have a traditional Christianity faith, right? A faith of Christianity, that getting rid of the Christian churches and getting people away from the churches is wrong.
Yeah, it is, because once again, a lot of people who have these churches, some of them really don't understand that they have a government.
Yes.
Okay. And once again, all roads lead to Rome. Okay. All roads lead to Rome. And so when you're setting things up ecclesiastical, there's ways of how to handle that. And that's the reason why there's a separation of church and state. So once you have a church established, it is its own government. It is its own entity. You see what I'm saying? That's outside of the state,
right,
or the state of states. They have no jurisdiction in that. And so once again, when you have a baptismal certificate and you have things like that coming through your church, it's showing them, hey, they are alive. You know, they're not dead into the state, but they're alive and well.
Right. They're part of the people.
Yes, they are part of the people.
They're not just a person, because only a person can go to jail.
Exactly.
Only a person can commit a crime.
Exactly.
The people is the living.
Yes, and the birth certificate proves that you are a person, because they now incorporated you.
Yes.
And so all corporations are persons. They're not people. And so this is the reason why when you're going to court and things like that, you're coming on behalf of the person. You are representing the person, but in their eyes, you're one and the same, because you're dead. A person or a corporation is corpse. It's a dead. And so you're coming in saying, hey, I'm defending my birth certificate. I'm this and I'm that. And they're saying, thank you for saying that.
Right. Exactly. I mean, I've got a lot of ridicule with you know, man, you've been there through some of it, with people really coming at me saying you're supposed to authenticate the birth certificate. And then with you, I was able to prove these points of why we don't utilize the birth certificate and why not to authenticate it. We authenticate or apostles still. what is called apostille, our own documents that you create, and which apostille is through ecclesiastical terms, correct?
Yes. Apostille is the same word as apostle, to send,
apostle,
to go out and to build a church, right? To go out. And so apostille is the same word, it's the same when you're looking at those terms, apostle and apostille.
And to some of the people that might just be new to this, can you explain what authentication is, or the apostille?
Yeah. So authentication is just, it's just it's being sealed. And so, once again, it's just in ancient times, it says that the documents were sealed with the king's ring.
Right.
And so the king's ring was symbolic of an authentication, is showing that his decree or whatever he wrote down was official. It came from his mouth, And so when he sealed it, it was stamped, authenticated with a raised seal to show that it's legit and it can't be disputed. And so when the decrees went out, everybody had to follow suit because the king authenticated. And so going back to layman's terms now, when you're getting something authenticated, it's saying, hey, this is an official. It's supposed to be the official, not the official copy.
Right.
Like they're doing with the authenticating the birth certificates, because it's already authenticated, because it has a seal, and that's a copy. You don't have the original. And so you want to authenticate original documents to show evidence, and it gives you a proper footing to show that, hey, this is legit.
The reason why this stuff makes perfect sense to me, all you have to do is look at Catholic schools. They have schools, and then they also have Islamic schools, and they got their own notaries, they got their own government established, and they create their own documents, But you can use a baptismal certificate for identity purposes.
Yes.
And a lot of people don't know this, or even look into the law behind this, that this is legit and that is possible. What came across me today was learning about the chancery courts, moving in chancery. The court of equity, also known as an equity court of chancery court, is a court authorized to apply principles of equity rather than principles of law to cases brought before it. And I learned that it originated in medieval England as a distinct court of equity named for the Lord Chancellor, which worked for the king. And it's the earliest form for those who couldn't obtain an adequate common law remedy. They could petition the King of England for the Lord Chancery, which was from the King's Council. So they're getting rid of natural law. So to me, this was like the first form of going towards maybe even codification, so to speak. Maybe I'm wrong on that term, but it's a court where they wasn't finding remedy in natural law. So this was created.
Yeah, and it has to be created. But once again, it goes all the way back into wisdom, right? In Proverbs, it says a false balance is an abomination unto the Most High, right? And so when you look at that balance, it's dealing with equity. You see what I'm saying? Not leaning to the left. And so I want to give a picture for those who are watching this on YouTube or whatever. The picture of equity is like when it's saying that do not be unequally yoked. Okay. So back in the day, and even in times, you have this pole or this yoke around you and you're carrying water. And if one side, the bucket of water is heavier, you're leaning this way. You see what I'm saying? So that makes you unequally yoked. It makes you unequitable because there's no balance in what you're doing. And so what happens is they're establishing systems of government that they're calling government, and it's leaning in towards a different favor than the other. You see what I'm saying? And everything was supposed to be equitable. If we're all supposed to be equal in the eyes of the Most High or the eyes of the system, then why is some people are getting unfair justice, injustice, and the others is more benefiting off of it? It's unequitable.
That's deep. When I was looking through the codes, the federal codes, because, with us, common law can mean natural law, universal law.
Right.
When I'm looking through the federal codes, they say common law, per their definition, is judicial decisions instead of statutes. That's what common law is. Then codified is turning natural laws into codes for the public. So a codified law is really not a law.
We'll be back after a quick break.
There's no such thing to practice law. It's called a bar card or a British accredited registry card. They take an oath to uphold rules to the crown, which is in Britain. So there's no such thing to licensed practice law. If you look up Abraham Lincoln, he was a lawyer. He wasn't an attorney. So attorneys might have to be licensed, but there's no such thing as a licensed lawyer. Again, it's called a British Credit Registry. It's part of a membership. It's like a fraternity, like the Freemasons or any other private club or community that you'd be part of, that you have to show your private membership. And this is what they do. Everybody go to onlyfans.com/Don Kilam. That's onlyfans.com/Don Kilam. That's DonKilam. You can subscribe there and get access to Don Kilam University at donkilam.com. You can also follow me on the Instagram at DON_KILAM. Again, that's DON_KILAM. Much peace and love.
And yeah, it's not a law. And there's also, so in the Torah, we break down the Torah in three things, right? You have sin, transgressions, and iniquity, but you also want to break down, and you got, the Torah, then you got statutes, right? So you got the Torah, Kukim, and then you got judgments. Okay. So it was breaking down in that. So when you look at it in those terms, it's just like executive branch, judicial branch, and legislation branch, right? But what we're starting to find out that there is no judicial branch,
right?
In these branches of government, it's all administrative.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And so, where is that true justice? You know what I'm saying? Where's that true judicial branch to say, hey, here's equity, here's this is being done wrong, this is being done wrong. But a lot of people think that your local courts or something like that, they're going to get remedy, they're going to get that. No, that's not what they're there for. It's all commerce.
Right. And you're going to get a remedy through common law. Mm-hmm. And that's why I'm saying these courts were established for those who didn't seek out common law remedy or felt like they didn't are able to receive a remedy through common law. Mm-hmm. That's what these courts are established for. Mm-hmm. It's all contractual.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And like you said, when people are not seeking those remedies.
Right.
But once again, how can the people seek out something if they never was told?
Right. Like you said, but like you pointed out at the event, I got these 2 water bottles. If all you know that these 2 water bottles exist, you won't know nothing else.
Correct.
And that's what, with me, when I started coming, I helped somebody. They said, help me learn the Constitution. Mm-hmm. And I always felt obligated as a Moor that, we're taught to teach our people the Constitution and the Bible. Mm-hmm. So, I said, I'll help you. And I was like, let me see what you got there. He had some paperwork. And I was like, well, the Constitution doesn't start at Amendment 1. Amendment means to change. Yeah. A lot of people don't understand it. It starts with the Articles of Confederation. Yeah. Some people call them the Bill of Rights. Right. Right. And that's what established the United States originally.
Yeah. Yeah. And like you said, when you have an amendment, that means you changed something.
You changed something.
It amended. It changed. And so you can't start anything out with an amendment. What was the original? Just like your birth certificate, right?
Right.
It was an amendment.
That's it.
You see what I'm saying? It's not the original.
You don't get the original.
You don't get the original.
It get deposited into the Bank of England.
Exactly. So how can you authenticate something that's not real?
Right.
And this is the problem with us moving and we're navigating, is that we're accepting replicas. And we're not accepting the authentication and the original, but the original will only be established if we created it.
That's facts. That's facts, man. But that's why I need to let people really let that sink in. Go watch Pawn Stars. I ran into that dude Rick from Pawn Stars a lot of times in Vegas. So. Yeah. But I said, go watch Pawn Stars. He brings the person in to make sure that the autograph is original, because he's not going to buy a copy.
Right.
And that's with the birth certificate. You're sitting here using this for identity. Mm-hmm. You think you can get money from it. You're not ever. You don't have the original.
And you didn't create the document anyway.
Right. You only control what you create. That's it.
You can't create. So you got to stay away from that stuff. Look, man, at the end of the day, you got to get born again. Once you get born again, and born again is not just, we're talking about born again, getting baptized and going, but you got to be born again in your mind.
That's it.
You know what I mean? Like the things that you thought you knew, you have to let it go, right? We have to understand what time we're in. And this is the thing. We cannot transition into the next season if you're not willing to let go of the old season. Just like in winter, right? If you're preparing and you have all your summer clothes, and you're not preparing for the coldness, well, not down here in Florida, but all my up north people, or
Right.
people that's in cold climates. If you don't prepare and you don't let go of those summer clothes coming into the season, it's going to destroy you. So we have to recognize what season that you're in, right? We understand what time am I in. So in order to get the remedies,
facts.
in order to get, your mind has to change, and you have to, go into preparation and for the next thing. And that's why we're struggling. It's like, okay, I want to hold on to this, but yet I want to be this. You can't do both. You have to go into that. Okay, where am I at? Am I in a season of planting, or am I in a season of uprooting? Am I in a season of dead right now, or am I in a season of living? Because it's a season of hibernation. And so depending on what time, you got to know your time. You got to know what season you're in order to get the remedy of that season.
Right.
You're not going to get the remedy of that season if you're still holding on to the old stuff.
And you're not going to get remedy hanging on to a public trust.
No.
It's a public trust, and then you keep putting your personal assets in the public, exposing them in the public, whether that be a UCC1 financial statement, because this is what's hitting our desk. This is what's hitting our eyesight in hindsight. Even people with some money, man, like wealthy people are still eating up some of this misbelief out there. So you have to understand what the public really means. The public is the part of the economy that the government controls. The private sector is the part of the economy that the government does not control. It's the private sector. So you got to understand private sector versus public sector. I got a book out there by Don Kilam, searching on Amazon, called The Private Sector. But you got to understand, when you claim anything in the public, it's still a public interest.
Yeah.
And that's no bueno. I don't know how to put it, man. Claiming anything in the public.
Yeah. Yeah. Just like I said, even like as more and more we start to dig in, the more and more I'm looking at corporations, I'm looking at all that. Like, that's why I'm really big on unincorporated associations, because it's private at its root. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And so,
and by all means, we could talk about it, because and it's not something that's going to come to you overnight.
Right.
I sat here and worked with you for 9 months, bro, before I even had the nerve to feel, and I still didn't feel like I was competent to operate it correctly, which everything's a learning process. But once you get it established, you're going to learn how to protect your assets if you're running assets through it or running a cash flow through it. You're going to figure it out. But the unincorporated association, if set up and established correctly, and you got to have the mindset in case anybody questions you, you got to know what to say. Because even with these trusts that we help establish, we go in there and if somebody comes in, somebody from the IRS, or you know how they play the games. They come in here and ask you, what position are you? Talking about foreign grantors trust, and they say all of them.
Right.
What's going to happen?
Yeah,
that's an alter ego.
It's an alter ego.
That's an alter ego. You can't have an alter ego.
Yeah.
You cannot have an alter ego whatsoever. This gets rid of your liability. This gets rid of your
protections.
Your protections from liability and obligations. You will be liable. You will be obligated to handle this business because you're running it like a personal, like it's your personal account.
Yeah, most definitely. And once again, I think that it really involves education. Because there's a lot of things out here in the public that's being told. And once again, you're in the public education, private education, right? So you're in the public, going to Google or going to whoever else that's teaching you things in the public and giving you all this free game. Don't get me wrong. It's cool, but you have to learn how to decipher. And the thing is that people want to come into freedom. They want to come into liberty, and then they going right back into bondage. I talked to one of the guys the other day, and he said, man, they're out here paying all this money, and they're still classified as citizens. You know what I mean?
That's crazy.
And so it says, look, if you're not on this record, if you're not, you're still a citizen,
And like, if I'm going to do anything in the public, I'm going to create something where I acquire fringe benefits.
Yes.
Simple as that.
Yes.
I really just learned what fringe benefits was today. I thought it had something to do with the fringe around the flag. I'm like, fringe benefits? I don't want that. That's part of them, ain't it?
Right.
The fringe flag,
The
ain't
fringe
it? But hey, fringe benefits is just learning how to create a salary, or learning how to collect, work for the business, have a company car, have them take care of your health insurance, your house. Everything. The business takes care of you. That's part of your benefits, the fringe benefits.
Yeah, just like you said, just like even with the church, right? I don't have to. And once again, I think we're taught to own it. It's my control and I'm in it. Yeah, you own it. You have liability. You know, what's wrong with having the company owns it, but yet I can drive it?
Right. That's
you know,
it.
I don't need to own it. My name don't need to be on the car for me to drive it.
Right. That's it.
For me to put gas in it, for me to take it on trips. Right. I don't need my name to do it. Right. I have the ability to control it. Whereas that, hey, I'm driving it. Hey, I'm watching it. I'm taking care of it. You know, I'm just a steward. You know, and that's the whole thing anyway. We don't own anything in this world. Everything is always an illusion anyway. Because once I say I own it, or I own something, I pass away, now it belongs to whoever else. That if I left it, you know,
right.
Now if they pass away, and it just continues, you want to be able to control a certain thing so that it could be passed on, but you don't really own anything. You're just a steward, you know, over what the Most High or your Creator gave you.
That's it.
That's all it is.
We'll be back after a quick break.
In a world where the tax system can seem overwhelming, one book is here to guide you towards financial empowerment. Introducing The Capitalizing Namepreneur, Unleashing the Power of Tax Credits by best-selling author Don Kilam. Are you looking to demystify the complexities of taxes and harness the power of tax credits? The Capitalizing Namepreneur provides an understanding of effectively utilizing your tax credits. Discover the secrets behind setting up a tax firm, understanding the strawman name, protecting your assets, and navigating the implications of the Social Security Trust Fund. Don Kilam's expertise shines through every page. It's like having a personal financial advisor by your side. Get your copy of The Capitalizing Namepreneur today and unlock the power of tax credits to enhance your financial well-being. Order your copy now and take control of your tax strategies. The Capitalizing Namepreneur, Unleashing the Power of Tax Credits by Don Kilam. Available now at leading bookstores and online. Get your copy today.
That's it. I absolutely agree, man. So back to the trust. When people say they create it, you know, like, so I heard a good answer today.
Mm-hmm.
The family created it.
Mm-hmm.
The tribe created it.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
That's an answer. That's an answer for you, man. So that's $1 million with the game if that didn't go over the congregation's head, you know. Gotta make sure they understand it, man. But you gotta learn that everybody says stay out the system, stay out the system. That's the Social Security system. That's the same system that a lot of people are, let's authenticate the birth certificate. That's putting you right back in the system. You're still using the social. That's putting you right back in the system.
Yeah, you know, and once again, your social is a public number. It's public.
It's not yours.
Yeah, they're telling you to keep it to yourself. Yeah, because it's still, you know, but it's public. It's used for public things, public benefits, public stuff. And so, once again, it all comes down to this. You have to learn how to strategize in this game, you know, and that's the thing. We have to have a strategy. And so as you're moving through this life and you're waking up with no purpose, you're going to sleep with no purpose, you're in a relationship with no purpose, you're having no purpose, right? And so the problem is that you remain a pawn, right? But guess what? When you learn how to strategize that pawn can go to the end of the board, and it's called level up. The pawn can actually elevate, and it could become a queen. It could become whatever you need it to be, so that it can now it can be leveraged towards the game or how you want to now set it up. You see what I'm saying? And so a lot of times when we're walking around and we're not strategizing and we're not doing things, we are still walking around in pawns, just being sacrificed and taked out or, whatever. And don't get me wrong, pawns can be dangerous if you know how to use them. But the whole trick of the game is to elevate.
Right, that's it.
You know?
Elevate the pawn.
Yes,
the pawn can become one of the most powerful pieces on the board, but the most important is always the king.
Yes, it's
the
always the king.
Over when your king's captured.
There you go.
And that's what's going on in the world today. They're not understanding it. It goes apart with the firstborn being slaughtered. It's in the Bible. That's what's going on today. If people just pay attention.
Yes.
They after your babies. They after your boys. You know, and making sure you don't hand down generational wealth.
And also, it can also be looked at too as your firstborn is God's people. It's His true people.
Right.
That's being slaughtered. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like we have to, like you said, we have to strategize, and we have to now be in that position is that king is moving, and how he's moving will also show who he has around him. You see what I'm saying? And so if you got people that's just out for self, you know, when the going gets tough, they're going to veer off, and they're going to, you know, and that's why it's important in the season of sowing that a lot of times we're sowing seed, but the enemy comes in and he sows tares. You see what I'm saying? And so just think about it. If we're sowing wheat, right? This is the season right now. We're still in sowing and it's the winter wheat harvest. But you have people that's coming there and sowing things that look like wheat. They're called tares. And so now when we realize it, because we will sleep, we all got to go to sleep. But when we sleep, they come in through deception, through manipulation, through betrayal, through whatever, and they sow those seeds. Now when we realize, we're like, hey, nah, man, let's pluck it up. No, you don't want to pluck it up because you're going to mess up the things that you actually sow. So you have to allow everything to grow. And this is the thing, agricultural term was called winnowing, 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 right? And so what happens is the farmer come harvest, he cuts everything down. Or I'm going to say this later. He cuts everything down and he throws it up to the wind, and the wheat falls down, but the wind blows the tares away. So that wind represents the spirit. So you have to allow the Most High, the spirit, to really divide and separate. Because a lot of times we want to hold on to things. The Ark of the Covenant was closed by the Most High, not by Noah, because he heard all the crying of the people. A lot of times, it takes the spirit to say, nope, close the door. Right. And once again, what time you're in.
That's deep, bro.
What time you're in.
I ain't heard it put like that.
You see what I'm saying? What time you're in. You have to know the season and the time that you're in, because a lot of times we want to hold on to something when we're really in the season of letting go.
Right. That's facts. That's facts. And a lot of people don't want to let go of these documents.
No.
These signs. It's their signs or symbols. You got to be creative. Create your own signs and symbols. But in the beginning, it's just a word.
Mm-hmm. Just the word. Right? You had the living word. And that's the whole thing. What is the living word? The word became flesh.
It's in red. It's in red.
Right. Your word becomes flesh. Your word becomes purpose. Your word now creates, and it creates things. And so what was your word? And so a lot of times we're stuck on, like you said, that written word. But a lot of things that's written can be deceived.
That's it.
But a man, you have to hold, your word is your bond. It's a bond.
That's it.
That could be taken any kind of way now, because people say, well, your word could be, yeah, it can. But look, the worst thing is a liar. You see what I'm saying?
Well, at the end of the day, your word is your bond in the courtroom, because what you say goes.
There you go.
You have to agree before they can even take you through anything. You have to understand the charge. All of that, man, before you see the bank. The bank, BANC, for everybody out there. Look up what the word BANC means. It's a seat on which a judge sits on. That's why every court has a clerk. Clerk handles money, man.
So think about that, what you just said. So if the word is my bond and they have a recorder there, right?
Yes.
So if I just declare who I am, wouldn't it be on the record?
So every court case is a form for free status correction. Listen, I was taught this early in the hood, bro.
Come on.
Hey, I was taught that early, bro. They said, listen, if you got an open court case, bro, you ain't got to pay to put that on a recorder. You just put it on your court case.
Yeah. Just say it. Declare it.
Notice the agent is... notice the principal is notice the agent.
Yeah, come on.
Hey, so that was my first form of status correction. I did it through the courts. I did it through the federal courts. They labeled me. They tried to get me to do a psychiatric evaluation. You can still find parts of this on the record. Psychiatric evaluation, when I proved I wasn't crazy, everything I said stood. Attorneys got to go. I was just me and the judge.
Yeah. All those actors have to go, man.
They got to go.
They're hired, man. They have to go, man. They have to go, because they don't understand they fake anyway.
Fake. It was just me and the judge, man. Spoken word, and I got a real judge. At first, I had to go through the magistrate, and because she was the one that said I was crazy because she couldn't understand what I was saying. That's what she was paid to do. But once I proved I was saying, I was able to see the real judge.
Nice.
And that's how it went down, man.
You actually went through persecution.
Yeah, I went through it, man. So that's why I'm not scared of no state court, none of that. I understand the game. Even with traffic courts, that's not a court of record. They don't even keep records.
No. And they come and say it's a
If the
circus.
judge doesn't show up, they'll find any attorney and put him up there.
Right. I know somebody who actually went through that.
Yeah. If attorney won't go, if the judge won't take your case, they'll find another attorney, like some rookie. Like, hey, get up there, boy. Go do your thing.
Man. Right.
But yeah, so like going in with your own law, and I'm not telling everybody to do this, because you gotta remain honorable. You gotta remain in honor at all costs. Okay, yeah. So just don't go over there. If you have an obligation to pay something, pay it. Like that's what I say, man. Like if I owe you some money, I'm gonna pay you.
Right.
You know, that's just us.
Yeah.
But you know, we had a situation. I missed some plane tickets and all of that, man. Private jets, all of that. So that was a big chunk. I needed that money back. So, you know, I got the money back the next day off the unincorporated account.
Most definitely.
They gave me the money back that I just did a little quick dispute with the bank and got the money back within 24 hours.
Nice.
So I thought that was amazing, man. So implementing my own law. So I would, so that made me think. So moving forward, if I'm to, create another unincorporated association to put clauses in my account just for disputes.
Yeah.
In my constitution for the unincorporated
Once
account.
again, they're operating according to the standard you set.
Yes.
And so if you don't set any standard, you're going to go into default.
That's right.
Default is whatever they say it is.
Because they already got their own terms. They already know the game.
They already know it.
They already know the game. So since I created, they didn't know it came from a private account because it looks like it's in the public with a Truist bank card or with MasterCard or whoever it may be.
Right.
So they were still accepting payment because it looked like I could operate in the public, you know?
And that's what I was telling people even too when you're having your births in the hospital. As long as you have your birthing plan, and just like the same thing, you have everything written out from the time, whatever you go in, if you're taking meds, not taking the meds, if you're doing it, they have to follow that plan. Because remember, royalty gives notice.
Right, that's it.
You know, we don't operate, like you said, everything has to be in honor. So we want to give you notice of how you need to handle us.
So with me, if I had a birthing plan, I would send them a donation as well from like the trust or the unincorporated association.
You donate to their board.
Put your name on the list.
Come on, that's the game
there. And then, so there's a difference between, and I did write this down. There's a difference between private practice and public practice. And literally, and when you're a public citizen, so to speak, they're practicing on you in the hospitals. Like, I'm not going to get too deep on this because it's not something you can really talk about in the public. But you know, it's for educational entertainment purposes only. But yeah, it's a public practice, man.
Yeah, and it's funny you say that because, like, even when you look at, remember when Michael Jackson was on stage and he got hair burnt, right? We ain't gonna go too deep into that, but there was, and I'm gonna say allegedly.
That's when they brought out the white Mike after he got his hair burnt.
Right. So I ain't gonna go into that one either. But
he was in the hospital.
He donated.
Like, who is that?
They donated the money, you know, that he got from that settlement to the hospital that he, you know, that helped him, and he got a different type of, you know, different type of stuff.
Yeah, that's so, But and I learned that, and you know, with some of the private education we learned with the trust education we was listening to today, I learned that through that organization because they help people set up the family trust, the family plans, the family business, and they donate to hospitals, they donate to organizations, you know, and that's how you become part of a private community. Even like with the Freemasons or whoever may be, you got to donate to them to start reaching certain ranks.
And look what you say. So when the president is on his campaign, he's getting campaign sponsorships. He's getting donations.
Yeah, and it's most 9 times out of 10, I can't speak for everybody, it's going to be attached to an unincorporated association.
Exactly. And so now when he's getting donations, if he gets elected from his promises, what do we have to do to the people who donated? Same thing with your police force. You know, every police force has a nonprofit associated to them. So you can sit on the board. You can be a contributing, donating factor to that. So that means that they have to handle you differently because now you're a donor.
Right. There's a lot of different ways how you can establish your business, okay? And I spoke on them, how to stay protected. Yeah. But when it comes down to the top elite people, they have an unincorporated association.
Yes. Unincorporated associations is where to go. And I know right now people are still trying to, and I also say unincorporated associations is also spiritual. You can't just wake up and be like, oh, you know what I mean? You have to really get it because truth be told, you're operating as that anyway, but you don't even know it.
Right. That's facts. Yeah, when 2 or more come together, and you know, the birth certificate, the social security card, the ID, these are all 3 different entities, and they come together. They form an unincorporated association, and you're gifting over your labor. Yeah. You're gifting over your assets, whatever it may be, to these organizations.
Yeah, and you can have protections. You can get credit if that's what you want to go. You can get an EIN if that's the way you want to go. You know what I mean? You could do so many different things with it. You know, but what happens is everything is by the root. Right. And so if the root and the foundation or the base of it is private, then everything else is going to be private.
Right. And that's what I tell everybody. You've been listening to me. The public bank is owned by the government. So make sure you create your private documents first before you deal with any public entity.
Most definitely.
Even if it's a courtroom, have your private documents together.
Most definitely.
You know, I went in there. I wrote a Declaration of Independence on a napkin, and I wasn't going to use no blood or nothing because I heard somebody getting a charge for that. So I used some red Kool-Aid, put my thumbprint on it. You know, that got accepted. And I marked that as an exhibit, Exhibit H. You know what I mean? Whatever it may be, they got to take it.
We'll be back after a quick break.
In a world where borders can limit opportunities, one book dares to challenge the norm and empower foreign nationals like never before. Introducing Can't Touch This: Diplomatic Immunity as a Foreign National by best-selling author Don Kilam. Did you know there is a difference being a citizen and national? This is for foreign nationals seeking to expand their horizons. Do you dream of obtaining a diplomatic passport and the freedom it brings? Don Kilam reveals the secrets to unlocking diplomatic immunity and creating your own nation. Discover why you are already a foreign national, learn the steps to obtain a diplomatic passport, and explore how you can be recognized by numerous nations on your diplomatic journey. Most never knew they could have diplomatic immunity as a foreign national. This book is a game changer for anyone seeking freedom and recognition on the international stage. Get your copy of Can't Touch This today and embark on a journey towards diplomatic immunity and creating your own nation. Order your copy now and unlock the power of diplomatic immunity as a foreign national. Can't Touch This: Diplomatic Immunity as a Foreign National by Don Kilam. Available now at leading bookstores and online. Get your copy today.
Yeah, man. There's so many ways, but once again, we have to renew our mind. We have to come out of this box. And I know it's hard because you're only was faced with two options, you know. And so your whole life you're thinking you only got two options. And then not only do you think you only have two options, but then they put those two options against each other. So it makes you now start to second guess yourself, but you actually have more options than that. And it all depends on, once again, I'm gonna always go back to it. What is the vision? How do you see yourself? How do you see your family? How do you want? And then once you see that, then now you have the direction to go into. Once you have that direction, now you have purpose. And so it all goes back to that. There's more than one way to skin a cat. And you heard that saying so many times, but there is more than one way. My way, your way, whatever, only fits to what I see. You see what I'm saying? So I could tell you this way, but it might be a whole nother way. But you have to find that because that's your path.
That's it.
I can only point you to the path. I can't,
that's it.
You know, I can't do it for you.
And that's why we have so many different religions and sectors of different religions. You know, they're just different. To me, religion means ritual.
Yeah.
And that's what they're doing in the courtroom. Those are rituals. That's what they're doing in the public. These are rituals. These are rituals that have been going on for thousands and thousands of years, and it's to reap your soul.
Yes, to reap your soul, man. That reaper, man.
And that's real business.
Yes, that is.
It is. It's business. So you got to learn how to invest your soul, your spirit in the right things.
Yes.
That's what business is all about. Because, you know, we're trending on the business investing on the Apple Podcast and all that. South Africa, too. Shout out to South Africa, man, for showing their support, man.
Yeah, man. They showing big support over there.
I'm like, dang, who you know in South Africa, Chief?
I know a few people.
I'm like, dang, they got us. We was, number I wouldn't say, it might have been 40.
Yeah, I think it was
40 something. Yeah, bro, we was top 40 in the Apple Podcast chart. So yeah, shout out to South Africa. But just you gotta have it, like you said, the vision is dividing the vision. That's what that system is created for. That's what they call them, divisional courts.
Think about this: a house represents a family. And so when the wisdom says a house divided against itself shall not stand. And so in order to have a division, you have to first have a vision. And then when you divide the vision, you're setting two people on a different path. And so, even if you go off course, like, you know, you have planes that's flying and they have to stay on their flight path. If you even inverted a 1 degree to the right or to the left, eventually you're going to be like this. You see what I'm saying? You're going to you're going to veer off. And so a lot of times when we look at our enemy, we think that it has to be aggressive. No, if I could just get you distracted just by a little bit, I don't even try to get you out, just a little bit, it's going to eventually, as you continue to go, it's going to eventually separate you guys. And that's how it is. And so like you said, in the courts, they come in there and they're dividing the vision. They're divisional courts, and they're doing these things to divide you. They're setting the fathers against the mothers against the fathers, the children against the parents. They're dividing because once you divide it, They can't stand.
That's
And
it.
a family is the highest level. Family government is the highest level because it's self-government. And so once I remove the family structure, now I could just pick you apart like a sniper.
And that's how I was starting off people. I was starting them off, with like even Cameron, he wanted to know about the 508c1a. But I got into more on the unincorporated association. But I do believe a 508c1a is a great place to start to even learn this information. But and just learning that, your family is a church. Your family is a government. And you pray with your kids and you teach your kids about God. You teach your kids about life, spirituality, everything. So you got to understand how to run it that way. And, but with that being said, before doing any paperwork, before anything, create you a vision. I totally agree with that because before I did anything, I created a vision. I said, this is what I feel I need to accomplish. This is where I want to hope that it leads me. And what it did, it led me, the first thing I did was, I don't know where the idea came from, make my name a business and learn how to separate that from anything in the public. But I automatically signed it to a record label. So I had the record label managing me. If that makes sense. So instead of a church, instead of a holding company, because a holding company and record label to me are very similar. They hold intellectual property, but I just had the holding company or the record label just run everything. They represented everything.
Yeah. And that's how you envisionalized it, because your creator, right? Your source is going to speak to you how you have to receive it. You see what I'm saying? And that's how you received it. And so now you can be able to explain it in that way,
in a
so
way
that people can be like, oh, wow. You know what I mean? And so that's dope. And when we have to look at things as like this too, once again, what is the vision? What do you see? A lot of times it's so much talking. There's so much, you have to remove yourself. That's why meditation is important, because meditation now calms yourself. It removes you from
deep.
Everything. So now you have the ability to hear and see. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. I was always taught that prayer is asking God for something.
Yes.
Meditation is receiving the answers.
Yes.
I know anytime I've had true red flags in my life, I got those visions through meditation. I already knew they was going to occur. And a lot of people don't understand that, man. Let your thoughts flow. At first, if you're new to meditation, it's going to be chaotic at first.
It's definitely
but get through it and just be mindful of it. Let it flow.
It's supposed to be chaotic. Once again, we have to understand, well, this is stupid. And in my mind, that's what it's there for, because it's trying to actually show you what's really going on in your mind. So if you're sitting there and you're meditating for the first time and your thoughts like, okay, is my phone there? Is this? That's actually how you are in real life. But you're now bringing notice to it now because you're forcing yourself to stop. You know what I mean? And that's why I love the Sabbath day, right? For however you follow the Sabbath, or anybody follow the Sabbath, but on the seventh day, that's a time where it's just stop. Everything, it's not going to work. If it didn't work out, just stop, leave it there and come back to it after. You see what I'm saying? Have that time to meditate, have that time to stop, have that time to interact, chill, do something else. And then it comes back to it. I know me, that works because I'm so diligent, right? And if things ain't working right, I'm going to just keep doing it until I fail. And then I get frustrated. And then sometimes I have to just stop, leave it down, come back in a few minutes or a few hours. And
I can relate to that.
Yeah.
I get frustrated. Y'all, you see me though. You don't see me get frustrated. Yeah. But I get frustrated with things I feel like things that are common sense. Like, cause the stuff that me and you are on, we're on a higher level frequency, like a higher level thinking. So I don't expect anybody to just get that right away. But I'm not. I want to use an incident that came up, but I'm not gonna do it. With me and you. But it's just like if you, I'm gonna use your wife for example. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Did you, like when around a bunch of people, your wife is not eyeing other men,
right?
Hanging on other men. She's right there supporting you. She speaks when necessary. Does that make sense?
Makes sense.
And I feel like that's common sense. But we came across people that doesn't do that. But,
and all about your environment too.
Yeah. So, and having, you're right. You're absolutely correct. It is all about your environment. I like that you said that, man. So they might be in a different environment. But even I don't know. I don't even know where I was going with that. But coming into even this information, I feel like when you sit down and think, It's common sense.
Yeah.
When you cut off the world, you have to cut off the world.
Cut it off, man.
You know, and no offense to any of our people out there, because I'm really picking on our people. You know, our grandmas, and I don't know, but your grandma or anything, our aunties and things like that. But they watch the news, bro. And then they bring that to my phone. Yeah. I'm not going to talk to you about it because you know the gospel's the good news. But you talked about some people don't even read the New Testament. But you know, you are the good news. You are the good news. The news is there to bring you sadness. So if you're able to sit down, you'll get those common sense things. You'll get those visions in your mind. The reason why I think meditation is important, because I believe the world is the theater in your mind.
Yeah. It is.
I showed Cameron last night. I said, go look, because what time was it when we went to eat? 9:00. Yeah. I said, look outside. I said, what color is the sky? What they teach you in school? He said blue. I said, so look outside. Is the sky still blue at 9 p.m.?
Yeah. Yeah, and once again, hey, the sun is 1 billion miles away, the moon. I just look up.
You can't see that far, bro.
Right, and it's just right there. And it's just, once again, we have to remove all the chaos.
Right.
And we just have to think. And we got eyes. We got ears, right? Use them. You know, listen. Look up. You know what I mean? And just see like, hey, this stuff doesn't make sense. And it's there for a reason. But when we're just programs, right? We're just programs and being spoon fed. And and you're walking around, you know, and you're doing all this. I think about Divergent for some reason, that movie Divergent, you know, it was like everybody was, you know, controlled. And then they found the divergence because they played this music, this song, and then everybody turned into robots and then they knew the divergence because they walking around like, hey, what's going on? But the divergence is the ones who you supposed to be. You don't go with the status quo. Deep, you see what I'm saying? And so because we're questioning things, I don't like to be questioned, you know what I mean, as far as authority, but I like to have questions asked. It's different when you're questioning me versus you're asking a question. You see what I'm saying? But, we need to ask questions. You see what I'm saying?
I don't want them to ask me anything.
No, I'm saying with yourself. Because remember how you said on the podcast, ask your higher power.
Well, yeah, because man. Listen, and then I want to go back to the Bible again too, but it's different strokes for different folks. Whatever faith you believe in, they all kind of say the same thing. Yeah, love conquers everything. Yes, but you know, confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord, believe in your heart that God raised from the dead, you'll be saved. Asking you shall receive. Matthew 7:7. You know, so when I learned to ask questions out loud, I learned that the answers will come. It might not be tomorrow. It might not be today. It might be a week from now, 2 weeks from now. God speaks in signs, symbols, and events. Yes, but He will give you your answer.
But you have to be open to receive it. Right, and that's the thing, because our answer might not come by your mom or whoever, your wife or something, saying something to you. It might come by in a car or something. They might be playing a song, and you have to be open to receive. And so you a lot of times we like, well, God is, because things is not going to come your way the way you think it's going to come. So you have to be open to receive it in different ways. You know, why do I keep hearing this and why do I keep hearing that? Well, why is this? That's because that's God speaking to you, bro. Right. You trying to box him in. He's all right. You see what I'm saying? Energy is always flowing. It's always moving. Like right now, we can see this table. I could be banging on this table. But when you slow it down and you see the frames, you actually see the vibrations and you actually see the table being bended, but you can't see it in the way you see certain things. So it's all about perspective. And so sometimes you have to slow things down in your life, slow your mind, slow everything. Everything is a rhythm. Your heartbeat's a rhythm. Your mind's a rhythm. The woman's body is a rhythm. You are a rhythm. Everything is a rhythm. And you have to be on time with that. Music is a rhythm and you have time codes. Video is a rhythm. It has time codes. Everything is time. Everything works in its time. And so if you're not operating in that time or in that season, you're going to miss it.
Well, I've had a few people tell me I ain't got no rhythm, but you're sadly mistaken. But no, like I was just teaching her the other day, man, letting her listen to Reverend Ike. You got the power. You have the power to think. You could think your way out of anything, even if you're incarcerated. Yes. You know? You learn how to use the chaplain correctly and be born again. That's a status change. Yes. That can happen right in prison. That can happen right in the military. Wherever you're at in your life, man, you have to decide. And you'll start leading yourself to those things once you decide. Yeah. Trust the process.
Trust the process, period.
Every step of the way. It always gets better before it gets worse. How bad do you want it? Gold's tested by fire. You know, you can't enjoy. You don't know how good joy feels unless you've been through pain.
Come on.
You don't know how good the light feels unless you've been through darkness.
Yes. And you won't even know those things unless if you've been to the opposite side. You won't even know, because a lot of times we want happy, but that's not life.
Right, that's
life
not
is
life
a heartbeat,
at all.
right? It's up and down. And so you have to understand that whatever you pray for, the opposite is coming. Whatever you desire, the opposite is coming. It's a package.
Yin and the yang.
The yin and the yang, the male, female. It's all a package, right? They say, oh, you need this, you need that, you need both to create. And so if I want blessings, understand that there's curses coming. If I want to be prosper, understand that there's failures and difficulties coming. They're all a package. And so those things is designed to see if you're really truly ready.
There you go.
Because like you said at the beginning, it's like, I was going to do this and I was going to meditate, but then I stopped. That was it. That was the chaos. That was the difficulty. And understand, because you really didn't want to meditate.
I relate with those people, because that was me in the beginning. Because you take your mind to a certain frequency, a certain where you getting certain downloads, you're not ready for them. But when you get around those individuals that's doing better in life, if for some reason you just knew that vision was going to come, or you knew that situation was going to occur for you, because you're birds of a feather flock together. So you're more adept to it. It's like you've seen it coming, and it's just like an awe moment.
What really gets me is, it's funny you say that. What really gets me is, let's say if, the Most High said, hey, today we were supposed to do this podcast, right? But yesterday or the day before yesterday, we had difficulties, and we said, you know what, forget it. But didn't the Most High say that we were supposed to do this podcast today?
That's fact.
So he didn't care. He knew that the difficulties was coming.
Right.
But he still told you that we was going to do this podcast today. So your situation does not affect where you're supposed to go. And we get so caught up on a distraction or those situations, and we miss
where
we're supposed to be going.
Courage is coursing your rage. God is good all the time,
all the time.
So every time I've had challenges with certain things, and I still continue to move forward, it's always been a well worth experience, man. I was always rewarded greatly.
Right.
And that's where any challenge in life, overcome the challenge, you will be rewarded.
Yes, you have to. You have to stay in the fight, man. You only lose when you stop. When you stop fighting, that's when you lose. And so you're not getting the remedies, you're not getting things. It's because it's time to set back and adjust. That's redirect it.
Start there. And then I'm going to bring this back up. I said this at the event. I said the worst thing I think Reagan said this, the worst thing that the government could ever say to you is, hey, I'm from the government and I'm here to help, and I'm here to help you.
Right.
So I need y'all to understand truthfully, you can only control what you create. Get around those people that are actually out here creating things, and quit listening to the people that's not creating things. People out here that's actually nation building, people out here that's actually building on land. Just listen, this is normal to you, taking care of 10 kids, 2 wives, a grand. This is normal stuff to you, but to another man that may look similar to you, that might be a miracle to them. It's a miracle to me. So like,
but it's hard.
Yeah, we're not gonna say it's not hard.
Right.
But to some man, taking care of one kid or 2 kids is hard, and that's where they run away from it. So that's why I rock with you, because you are a living miracle. So you're an inspiration. Birds of a feather flock together. I need people to know that. So you got to understand and really perceive who you're really taking this information from.
Right.
And that's truly what I want to throw out there today. Let us know if you got any closing words and how we can reach you, Chief, man.
I don't really have closing words. My thing is, like I said, this is time. We're about to wrap up the sowing season. So and no matter where you're hearing this, slow down, stop. If you keep bumping your head, it's for a reason.
That's
okay.
facts.
So slow down, stop. And refocus. You have to in order to define something, you have to redefine it, right? And so your path, you might be on the right path, but it might be the wrong time. You see what I'm saying? You might be doing the right things, but it's just the wrong time. And so we have to really slow down and find the rhythm. You see what I'm saying? Once we're in that pocket, all things is going to flow. And so don't give up. You're going on your right path. You're doing everything that you're supposed to do, but it might be the wrong season. It's impossible right now, wherever y'all at, especially in the United States, there might be trees and leaves that's falling off the trees right now. And so it looks ugly, right? but understand that you might not want to, come out here and start planting flowers in the cold because it's the wrong time. The right thing, but it's the wrong time. And so a lot of times I would just want y'all to look at this. You're on your path, but just find the rhythm. That's it. Slow down and find your rhythm.
How can we find you, man?
Hit me up always at Chief Amir Zahir. That's CHIEFAMIRZAHIR. Chief Amir Zahir on IG. And also you can hit me up on IamAmirZahir.com.
It's your boy Don Kilam. You can reach me on the Instagram at DON_KILAM. It's DON_KILAM. And I'm not even going, that's the closing message for you today, man. Cause you know where I'm at, it took years to get to where I'm at. So your season's coming, stay focused. Nature will bend to your will. If it's meant, it's going to happen. And the rewards will be great if you put in the time and you stay consistent. Consistency is the key. And with that, I'm out. Get around the people, man. They like I said, iron sharpens iron. And that's how every relationship has to be in your life. You're either progressing or regressing. So make sure you choose prosperity, it chooses you. So make sure you're choosing the right thing.
Are you ready to unlock the secrets of commerce and build an empire that lasts for generations? Look no further. Introducing $1 Million Worth of Game by Don Kilam, your official guide to the private and public side of commerce. In this groundbreaking book, Don Kilam reveals the strategies and insider knowledge you need to create and protect your wealth. Learn how to navigate the intricate world of commerce, master the art of building an empire, and secure a lasting legacy for your family. Get your hands on $1 Million Worth of Game today and embark on a transformative journey toward financial abundance. Don't miss out on the opportunity to build your empire and secure a prosperous future for generations to come. Get ready to conquer the world of commerce. $1 Million Worth of Game by Don Kilam, your ultimate guide to building an empire and leaving a legacy. $1 Million Worth of Game by Don Kilam. Available now. Get your copy and start your journey to generational wealth.